Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, female 25, have a boyfriend, male 26, who suffers from a medical condition and pays for medication. He works hard despite his illness to help with rent and to afford medication and car repair. We visit my parents' house regularly. My boyfriend loves my parents and my 18 sister and loves being around them. His parents are both deceased and he calls my family warm and loving. And they love him too. So there have been no issues, except for a few days ago when we were at my parents' house for dinner. My sister stayed in her room the whole time, except for when dinner was ready. Usually she'd sit with us to chatter. I thought it was strange of her, but I didn't overthink it. My boyfriend came back from the bathroom to find that his phone and medication and $200 in cash were gone, even his car keys. We were so confused, but kept looking all over the house. My sister came downstairs asking what we were looking for. We told her, and she didn't say anything, just went upstairs. We couldn't find them. My boyfriend was so confused he ended up taking an Uber home and left the car at my parents' house. My boyfriend kept worrying about going to the doctor to get his medication, and it was difficult. We also struggled with the car keys. I visited my parents' house the next day to conduct extensive search. My sister was at school at the time. I entered her room and surprisingly found all of my boyfriend's missing things. I was in complete shock. I showed my mom and she began rationalizing and making excuses for my sister. I was so mad I ended up confronting my sister after she got home from school, and Mom begged me to lie to my boyfriend and tell him I found his stuff in the bathroom cabinet after I mentioned that my boyfriend has the right to press charges, but I refused to lie to him. I told her she shouldn't encourage stealing, especially since my sister gave zero reasons why she stole from my boyfriend. My mom got upset and involved my dad, who agreed, and said that if I shouldn't agree on and encourage my boyfriend to press charges, and said I should stick to the bathroom cabinet lie. But I insisted on letting my boyfriend know so he could realize that the house he enters isn't safe for him anymore. Mom lost it on me when my sister started crying, saying I'll ruin her relationship with my boyfriend. Mom said she couldn't believe I chose to side with a guy I've known for only a year over my sister, and started bad-mouthing him. But he doesn't even know what's going on around him. He cares so much about my family and always wants a good relationship with them. But I'm not sure if I should tell him. My parents said they'll cut me out and no longer welcome us in the house if I tell my boyfriend and he ends up getting police involved. They said my sister doesn't deserve to be rejected by universities over a stupid mistake that she already apologized for. Edit. I don't think it's the first time she stole based on my mom's reaction. She should be mad at her, not me. She should be talking about consequences to her, not me. Mom actually thinks it's my sister versus my boyfriend in the conflict and keeps shaming me for siding with wronged party. If my boyfriend stole from my sister, I'd make sure to tell her and feel very ashamed and disappointed in him. But Mom has always been overprotective of my sister, no matter what she does, which is wrong. She probably has a long history of stealing from her parents, which would explain why they sided with her so readily. Teenagers who pathologically steal, kleptomania, don't usually start out of the blue. They start young and learn as they go, working up to bigger thefts along the way. The parents have failed her by sticking up for her, and they're setting her up for jail time. She's definitely old enough to know better, but she's engaging in this compulsively, stealing things she doesn't even need. Money is one thing, but the guy's car keys? What she needs is therapy, specifically a criminal psychopathologist, to help her figure out the root cause of her condition. Early childhood trauma is a common cause, which leads to the kid subconsciously seeking control over their external environment as a balance to the tumultuous internal relationship they have built with their fragmented and damaged emotional framework. Stealing allows them to feel powerful, in control, as well as being an outlet for their internalized anger, further complicated in some cases by the child becoming drawn to the activity because of the adrenaline response, norepinephrine before and during the theft, and then dopamine release afterwards. Kleptomania is often treated in similar therapeutic ways as de-addiction for that reason. So yeah, if she doesn't figure this out, she's going to end up in jail at some point. So I think OP should speak with her parents about that and try to explain it to them. I was married to the most amazing woman 6 years ago. We had been dating for 2 years before we got married. She got pregnant after graduating from college. We were both happy. This is what we wanted. Our son was born. Life was awesome. 10 months after his birth, while on a trip to get some stuff for the house, her car collided with 2 others. Nothing could be done. Her ribs broke inward. Her lungs were crushed. She died by the time the ambulance came. Life was a B. Suddenly, the whole world had collapsed on me. I was in shock. The therapy didn't help. The only thing that kept me going was my son. He was barely 10 months old, but he lived. I forgot about everything else in life and functioned just as a father. I didn't go out. I ignored my friends, killed my social life altogether. Still, I was proud of what I had accomplished as a single father. Sure, there were a few scares here and there, but overall it was great. My son was healthy and happy. Money was never a problem for me. It still hurt like a bee inside. I literally felt no temptation to meet anybody else. I was still recovering from it all, I guess. Then I started going out a little. My sister offered to take care of my son. She was great with him, so I felt comfortable. I got back in touch with my friends. I still retained my good physique. There wasn't much to do at home, so I'd just work out. I had started taking care of myself too. I got used a little to the female attention. After blowing off the initial 4 or 5 dates, I know it's bad, I just couldn't go ahead with them then. I started meeting other women. I'd just have casual dates with these women, but I'd turn them down before anything physical happened. It took me a long time to even kiss a girl again. On this cycle, I met Natalie, random alias here. She was an exceptionally beautiful girl who worked in my industry, loved that I was a single father, and sympathized with my loss. She was a great person and had an awesome personality. I found something special about her, so I stuck with her. It took us almost a month to have S, but she was very patient with me. I had told her up front that meeting my son is not something that is happening very soon. She understood. We had a great relationship. She complained a few times about me spending a lot of time with my son and barely enough with her, but we made it work after talking about the issue. She only met my son for the first time 2 months ago. I brought her along when we were at the park. She said hi, and he just looked up and sort of laughed. He's 4, and he's able to articulate properly, at least small words and greetings. So I told him to say hello. He said that, and then the attention was back to the racket and the ball. She clearly liked him. I know she wasn't feigning interest because when I went a bit away and was busy with something else, she was trying to play with him and interact with him a lot. That was supposed to be a happy moment, but seeing him with her reminded me of my wife, and it hurt like a bee again. But I got over it. So I gradually increased their time together. We still met outside most of the time and not that much inside. We spent the daytime at her place, and late night, she would come over to mine when my son was asleep. After a point, I felt a little comfortable leaving them alone together. So this week, my sister was visiting in town. My son absolutely adores her. She was his first female contact. I had to leave to take an overnight flight to get some work stuff sorted out, so she stayed at my place. Natalie calls me in the morning and tells me that she wants to visit my son. She's been visiting him a lot, so I think it's okay. When I come back, this is what my sister worriedly tells me. Natalie came around in the morning. She spent around an hour with my son and my sister. They're good friends and get along very well. So my sister got up to make something for them and went into the kitchen, while Natalie and my son were in the living room. He was on the floor playing with his toys, I guess. As soon as my sister goes into the kitchen, Natalie picks up my son on her lap. My sister tells me that she heard her trying to get him to call her mommy. He usually calls her by a shortened version of her name, which also makes him giggle for some reason. So he said that and he giggled. My sister leaned to see what they were doing, and according to her, my girlfriend was saying to him, "No, not the name that my son has for her, Mommy," and repeating that again till my son said it. Then she kept on saying, "I'm your mommy, mommy," and more like that. My sister was alarmed but didn't say anything. He's done that with her too, but she always brought up a picture of his mother to show him, so he stopped calling her that. I have always told him that the angel in the picture is Mommy. It took him time, but he stopped calling anyone else Mommy. I had told my girlfriend about this before, and she had agreed. I told her that it was important to me that my son knew who his real mother was. She said she understood. And now, here I am, angry, frustrated, enraged, and feeling a bit betrayed. I don't know how long this has been going on. I haven't said anything about it to her. She knows I'm pissed about something. We have our 1 year together completing in 20 days. I had big plans for that. Now I don't know what to do. You guys got any ideas? Guys, this is not about me moving on from my wife. This is about my son's mother. That's all. I'll talk to her about this. I don't want to break up, but I do want her to know that she has ducked up colossally and that this will set back our relationship. I'll try to be delicate. This is not okay. This crosses so many boundaries. She is not respecting OP's wishes. She is not respecting OP's parenting decisions. I think she may be jealous subconsciously of OP's wife. OP is still not over his wife. I get that. She may say she understands, but really, this is not something one can understand until it happens to them. While OP realizes his wife is gone, she is very much present for OP's girlfriend, and she's most likely trying to make OP move on quicker. But as I said, this is not okay. Update. Basically, I talked to her. She did agree that this had indeed happened, so she didn't deny it. That was a good thing. I asked her why she did it. She gave the reason that she always felt like an extra in my life. She thought that we could be closer if we tried to be a family. I explained to her in a calm, composed manner that we can't just pretend to be a family, and that her trying to make a permanent bond with my 4-year-old son, whom she'd known only for 2 months, wasn't quite the way to do it. She cried and apologized. Nevertheless, this was a huge setback in our relationship. It's difficult to look at things the same way after what happened. Our big anniversary surprise is canceled. I'll make up for it sometime later. We are still dating, but she isn't going to meet my son anytime soon. This meant that we'd be spending less nights together, but she understood. I'm also going to see a child therapist to get this mommy thing sorted out once and for all, so that my son isn't emotionally affected. For those of you saying that what she did was 100% right, it wasn't. My girlfriend and I are dating. She has known my son only for 2 months. If a mommy bond were to form right now and we were to break up, it'll affect my 4-year-old too. That'll have to wait for marriage, which honestly is something I have mentally pushed back for now. It'll take time to get the trust back with her. Since a couple of weeks ago, she kept pushing me again and again over visiting my son. I told her no firmly, but she kept on being passive-aggressive. All I wanted was a little more time, but she pushed me to a limit. She said that my son was missing her. He was not. And that I'm doing him a disservice by keeping her out of his life. And that I'm a horrible parent and I can't raise my son alone. We had a big fight over it and we broke up. She broke down and crawled back and apologized, but things were never going to be the same. My best friend Jen died in an automobile accident over 3 years ago. She was married to Matt for 4 years at the time of the accident, together for 2 years before that. I was really close to Jen. I was a bridesmaid at their wedding. I was that annoying friend who tagged along with her and Matt on many nights out. After Jen died, Matt kept a really low profile. He would mostly hang out with his friends every now and then, but for the most part, he kept to himself. It wasn't until last November that I and several of Jen's friends would see Matt fairly regularly again. Holiday parties, birthday parties, random happy hour, etc. It was around that point that Matt and I began hanging out quite often by ourselves, but only as friends. We both love movies. I had gone to the movies with Jen and Matt frequently, so we resumed that practice. Eventually, I began developing some feelings for Matt. He is thoughtful, respectful, intelligent, ambitious, and good-looking. I decided, though, that I wasn't going to make any moves and keep it platonic. For one, I didn't want to appear as if I was disrespecting Jen. Secondly, I'm pretty self-conscious about my appearance and figured Matt would never be interested in me anyway. Matt is really handsome and in great shape, and Jen was quite beautiful. I don't consider myself ugly or anything, but I could stand to lose some weight. And the truth is, Jen probably could have modeled if she wanted to. I'm nowhere close to that looks-wise. So imagine my surprise when Matt kissed me after he walked me home from the movies one night. I had wanted to keep it platonic, and I still had a few reservations. But after he kissed me, I knew I couldn't deny it any longer, and I wanted to be with him. I researched whether it was in poor taste to date a deceased friend's spouse, and found that it was actually very common. Also, 3 years since Jen's death seemed like enough time where dating Matt wasn't disrespectful to her. We had our first official date on Valentine's Day, and the last 3 months have been really wonderful. I've had a poor history with men for one reason or another. My longest relationship has been 4 months to someone emotionally A. And Matt is the first man to actually tell me he loves me and thinks I'm beautiful. Unfortunately, several people we considered really good friends have been judgmental and no longer speaking to us. Matt felt obligated to notify Jen's family, and we thought that'd be the main concern. But her parents and siblings were completely fine with it. Most of our other friends don't have any issues with Matt and I dating. However, it had gotten back to me via a mutual friend that Jen's best friend from college thought I always had a thing for Matt and was waiting for the perfect opportunity to swoop in. Everything of which is completely untrue. Another good friend of mine that I met through Jen didn't invite Matt or me to her housewarming, which we thought was odd because she's invited us to everything for many years. And she's completely ignored my texts for about a month. Matt has noticed a couple of Jen's friends have deleted him on Facebook, people he's known for 5 years and has been friendly with. A few people I've met through Jen deleted me also, but nobody I'm particularly close to. Normally, I'm not bothered by people's opinions of me, but I must admit the actions of the college best friend and the friend ignoring my texts have been hurtful because I considered them really good friends. I want to reach out to these friends, but I don't know particularly what to say. But I'm also wondering if these friends are even worth it, and I should just cut my losses. 3 years have passed, and they never had a flirtation when they were together. Their friends should be celebrating that both of them have found a way to bring something beautiful out of a painful situation.